Dharma ya Namo Sangha ya Namo Guru me Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Guru me Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Kande Laje Gwenje Doga Raga Shosa Bonde Choze Cheje Gyabo Gwenje Losa Sedan Jeba Nede Sheso Dunje Nanga Sindi Bende Jeze Lama Nalo Lebe Sena Shinjon Do Denba Yeche Geja Shuso Sheje Chungwen Jawe Loje Do Desa Nawe Nyenjo Leshe Chabe Beje Lame Zebe Go Tonde Jembe Dunden Yewo Chi Nazo Medo Na Jishen Dobe Nanzen Jeja Wesha Yedu Chibin Jazo De Sena Shinjo Kanshi Tongmen Dune Saba Ye Lunga Yiji Migi Jiji Kebaran Domba Sumje Mede Ningne Juban Dambu Soso Ningme Dude Mande Roblan Cheje Bambe Den Bombo Jeje Labjen Daja Zamba Tabe Yirang Wo Jize Lama Damba Ye Chögü Pala Tenzin Dorjee Cheda Samben Dorjee Saje Jeje Chaba Abdo Namda Weze Yingle Shenba Ye Sonjo Gu Tame Nangon Sugu Radane Sede Mado Mino Dem Dazo Chini Sabe Gewa De Dendan Zhong Kebaran Jezu Losan Chaba Denbe Ningbo Rendo Seje Sho Mime Zebe Dejen Teme Kembe Wongbo Jam Debo Male Zhongze Sabe Kanje Kebe Zoje Zonga Mime Zebe Dejen Jenreze Teme Kembe Wongbo Jambe Debo Male Zhongze Sabe Kanje Kebe Zoje Zonga Losan Tabe Shala Sowa De Mime Zebe De Jin Jenre Se Teme Kimbe Wong De Wo Male Zhongze Sam Kanjen Kebe Zojen Losan Tabe Shala Sowa De Pande Zawe Lama Rinpo Dazo Jiwura Bende Densho La Gade Chenbe Gozon Doji Wendo Zendo Zi Bande Zawe Lama Rim Dazo Ningara Beme Densho La Gade Chenbe Gone Chodang Timo Wendo Zendo Zi Bande Zawe Lama Rimbo 다소 닝거라 베메 대조라 가데 장조 닝베바 대바라 엔조 마산제메 셰라 바르제 마제 망가 남게 오보 소소라리 예체 주요 대선 예외 용 자제로 대안타 가데 바라 삼가데 보데예소 대안타 가데 바라 삼가데 보데예소 대안타 가데 바라 보데예소 게레 동다 자조 시와다 메데 다제 된자데 레조 사시베예 조 다게 최준 예배 소남제 안로라 다게 최준 예배 소남제 안로라 펜제 산제 로바라쇼 소남라 장조 마도 다네 잡소제 다게 최준 예배 소남 로라 펜제 산제 로바라쇼
심지어 산제도 도착하나 양다보도 사이 고바르보 토바세 디제도 타베쇼 세냐 그 상주스 제마세지다는 사무시스.
Let me remind every one of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it bodhicitta motivation, or the altruistic motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. With that kind of altruistic bodhicitta motivation, we should participate in this Bodhisattva's discourse on the perfection of samadhi or concentration, chapter number 8 in the Bodhisattva Guide. So we have, explored the faults of self-cherishing attitude and the benefits of cherishing others. And so therefore, we need to train our mind to equalize and exchange a self for others. And so we have been discussing or exploring the practice of exchanging self for others.
Lomo da rang dang cheba temen je yose la chen rang long je ba cha nyang de samba na ke de sene ange yose de chen la ba na da rang ge ji la long che je chen de me de ya porne da de tomba hi zo se mani de tsu de yida je tsu yimbe ti inji ko che wa she de se nyange shimar shasam yida jola ke de no zin de da go lu jo ba she na Shen ji jimba sha she ranta me de phani shen deve thong khona zo sembani hai che su yimbe se ti pusu zo be dewa je wa she de tonsum ti chema hai je wo sangba la so ye auju to be ju she be so o da de ya da ye zo she ta ti so Subadone, Kede, she's all the Shunju, that's a cousin, Tetabu, Kever, Peldi, Yeva, Tabala, Cheva, the Shibe Peonis, Joone, Yoshi Gaye, Sadin Yeva, Nana Yeva Rodi, Lomo Tabur, Dang Cheva. Te meja yosera hera shenam raga longje cha shinya sebanas sebana kede sene ang yose di shena yose di shena da rang chi la longje ji shen to me de ya pa da de tomba hi zo seba de si de yida yi sui be ti jigba jever shede senyangi shimar shazama yida jola kede node de da rang lungje var sheda shen ji ji nyang de jiba shashi rang de de poni shen de to kon se bane lai chu ji yimbe se ti pusu zo be de je var shede Tosum de Shema Lai Jevo Samas Anju Tobash Toby Geshe so what they had was it that Payun de Sozoja Yoshi Garden de Yoshi Yoshi longer the level. His longer Mayona so someone that Yoshi the sort of Lungina. Hena tegu na sa de samba sa de ta de hen de na ene de so do kharche orse che am de sa sena si de madi ve na en ko di sena de yo shi ma yida jigres da sena ma je da de so do longje ve na hena kharche sa hin zo shi ne dong se be ne hen de ji me sa mo tang be na ji goyas mugse yomorda ji ma on di jena samlo kora ga nan si warda in di chima sai 상발라서 라영 이제 그랬다. 가지 남이 대화 개와진 쇼 토그레스. 어디 센나시나 에네 녀와다 이다 지그레스. 센나 맞은 하다 상바다 야지들 지그레스. 어디서
So we are doing chapter 8 on samadhi or concentration from this Bodhisattva chart avatar, a guide to Bodhisattva's way of life by the great Bodhisattva Mahasattva Shantideva. And those of you who have this English translation of the guide by Stephen Batchelor's, we are on page 124. And the stanza 125 reads, "If I give this, what shall I have left to enjoy? Such selfish thinking is the way of ghost. If I enjoy this, what shall I have left to give? Such selfless thinking is a quality of the little g gods." Unquote. So Geshe-la's reading of the extensive commentary on this and explanation is it is possible that someone knocks on our door and asks for some help. At such time, let's say we do have resources to share, but out of miserliness and stinginess, and if we feel like, well, if I give something to this person, then what will I have left to enjoy? So that kind of self-centered thinking is the way of ghost or Satan. Yeah? And due to that miserliness, stinginess, right? Although we have resources to share, but due to miserliness, we feel like I need to. If I give, then what do I have? This kind of mindset is a selfish, self-centered way, and the miserliness can precipitate rebirth in hell and in hungry ghosts or preta worlds. Okay? On the other hand, out of cherishing thought of others, and if we do think this way, if I enjoy this all by myself, then what I have left to give to others, and think that way and do share because somebody knocked on the door, or even if there's nobody asking, right? In general, our mindset is we cherish others and we would like to, use our resources for others, and we think that if I enjoy everything, then I have nothing left to give to others. So that kind of a mindset, attitude, or thinking is the divine way. That is the way of little g gods, and so with that kind of positive thinking, we are able to have rebirth as Indra, the king of little g gods, and Brahma, another powerful little g god. And so as we can see, the outcomes of either miserliness, self-centeredness, and the outcomes of cherishing others and be generous. Okay?
Rwa kaka kuya xa tau maris. Di xa na ene tata we semche tiri lungshu upo ma mambo yori, sanje ngama tsu jimbe parji mazo pa tiri tago yori, tiri shungna yorwa. Shi tata lo kerso korase korda, so samlo na kari tiki peyo she korda. Kor so jiki chara yuwa she, chara yuwa de dako di sozo piji tongi na, shenda chewe na, so samlo korni. In samlo kerso do dire kerso, rang nyago sam chong dire dos. Here takes the pain to row young Senation, Yida Jam, just have those. Here the Pap Tong was someone told me that in the debate, Yashima, Samba Yashini Jalia, and Payon Yoris. Louis Churchill, you had the Jimagus Dharma that gives us Kamari.
So Geshe wants to clarify here that what we have just talked about is pretty much focused on the kind of mindset, isn't it? The inner attitude. We are not necessarily talking in terms of action. Are you really sharing something, giving something, right? We are not talking necessarily about action per se, but we are talking about the mindset itself. But we do all have some resources, don't we? And so if we are sitting and thinking that, if the miserliness kicks in, says that, if you give a lot of things, share with others, then you don't have anything else left, right? That mindset can come up. And so we have to reflect on the negative outcomes of sedna, miserliness, stinginess, and that could precipitate our rebirth in the hell or hungry ghosts, right, where there is a lot more suffering. On the other hand, if we cherish others and we think this way, that if I use everything for myself, right, then what have I left to give to others? I have nothing. So if we think that way, that mindset of cherishing others, that is the divine way. Are you with me? And so we are really talking about what kind of a mindset, that is so crucial and important. That itself is a practice, as a matter of fact, isn't it? When we think about generosity, chinpa in Tibetan, dan, perfection of generosity giving, it is defined as wish to give, isn't it? If you have that wish to give, you have such a generous mind, that is called generosity, not necessarily that you have things to give or you will give everything to somebody else. Yeah? Generosity is not defined in terms of satisfying the needs of everybody who need your help. It doesn't mean that we are going to resolve all the poverty in the world, universe. That's not what the generosity means. If that's what generosity means, then how could Buddha and others have they have accomplished the perfection of generosity or dhan paramita, right? Because there are a lot of needy and poor people in the world, so their issues have not been resolved. So how can we ever say that the Bodhisattvas and Buddhas, they have, the perfection of generosity, and in the case of enlightened being, completely fulfill the perfection of generosity. So that tells us that generosity is more of a state of a mind. Right, that beautiful, kind state of mind that if whatever you have or you don't have, if I have or I do have, I want to give to others. So we attach more importance to others and we cherish others more. Okay? And with that mind, if you do have something, you will give, isn't it? Does that make sense? On the other hand, if our mind is poor, very miserly, you have everything, you're still like, not enough. If I give, then what am I going to eat? Right, then, it doesn't matter how much you have, you are not going to share with others. Does that make sense? So that miserliness, that poor state of mind, it can cause rebirth in the hell and in the hungry ghost world, pretas. On the other hand, that generous mind, cherishing others, could cause rebirth as Indra, the king of divine beings, and Brahma, another powerful, divine being.
제가 년바서야 될 거리스. 사회 주세야 될 사회 주세도 제가 상보. 거기 들어 상보 대소소 그게 로지나 현달에 가서 현달 때에는 소소 갈 롱쇼 그 사람 들어 상보 년바텔 에데서 제가 년바. 다 대소소 시에가는 현달 때하면 차그리 네 현일 때고서 상보 야가도는 제가 상보 세그리스. 그래서 저당 저 미쳐와 상보를 세대 지로 야라 뭐라지야죠. 어디래다.
So in this stanza, the metaphors that have been used is, if we are miserly and self-centered, selfish, and don't want to give anything to others, so that mindset is called the way of thinking of ghost, right? Satanic being. It's just a metaphor, but in other words, as explained in the commentary, what that ghost or satanic being means, that it is a negative state of mind, and that negative state of mind is going to only motivate negative action, right? So negative action, negative mind are metaphorically referred to as the way of ghost or satanic beings. On the other hand, if we have cherishing others, and we think this way, that if whatever I have, if I use it, then I have nothing left to give others. Or I wish I could have more so that I can give others. That mindset, that kindness, that generosity is called the way of divine being. This metaphor of divine being means that this is a positive state of mind, and this positive state of mind can prompt positive actions. Stanza 126 reads, "If for my own sake I cause harm to others, I shall be tormented in hells. But if for the sake of others I cause harm to myself, I shall acquire that all is magnificent." Quote. So as Geshe explained, that here we are still focused on the state of mind, right? Not so much the action that's prompted by the mindset. And so, as Geshe explained, that for our own sake, if we don't care, about others or what happens to others, what we do to others, that mindset is a negative mindset, isn't it? It's going to cause rebirth in unfortunate states of rebirth. On the other hand, if we think for others, for the sake of others, we do whatever we can, so to speak, that mindset is a positive mind state, and that can lead to rebirth into good migrations or better states. So it's still thinking about the mindset alone, isn't it? If you have a negative mindset, it can cause rebirth in the bad migrations. If you have a positive mindset, then it could cause rebirth in a better state.
This is the remark something that
So as Geshe explained, that of course every one of us has three things: body, speech, and mind. Okay? And let's say if we think positively and we act positively through speech and through physical actions, of course everything is positive. No wonder about that, isn't it? Even if we don't necessarily engage in positive verbal action or positive physical action, but if we keep the mindset that is positive, that itself, right, can produce positive outcomes. On the other hand, if we have a negative mindset, we act negatively, we speak negatively, we physically do something negative, then everything is negative, right? What can we say about that? Everything is going to be bad. But even if we don't indulge in negative verbal action, physical action, but if we have a negative mindset, right, that negative mindset itself can cause rebirth in bad migrations.
what is it?
So as Geshe explained earlier, we talked about the effects of mindset alone, right? A positive mindset produces positive outcomes, a negative mindset produces negative outcomes, and if such mindsets are associated with physical and verbal actions, according to the type of actions, we are going to experience different outcomes. Now the next what Geshe explained is in terms of action itself, right? Let's call it practice or the action there. For one's own sake, and if we make everybody else to kind of serve oneself, become one's servants or whatever you want to call them, wage earners, but then you don't give them the wages they deserve, right? The pay they deserve, and you just kind of exploit them, so to speak. And so this is negativity, isn't it? The mindset's negativity. For one's own sake, we are exploiting others, and they render service, then they should be paid for their service, but then we don't pay, right? And everything else. So as a result of such mindset actions, in the future, we ourselves could find in similar situations where we become like servant of others, and they are going to treat us back in the same way. They are going to exploit us, In the worst case situation, it's not just become a servant. The worst among servants, we call it, right, tenure, slaves. We become slaves of others, and so they will treat us accordingly,
Oh, this course, give the bows, some cover less, Lingetamje, should do tembe, told the one. Don't Jigdin the Dawada, Liber Yode Kanshi Yavata, Gune, Dano Chiba Songni, Yode Kinji Yavata, Gune, Shenam Chiba Songni, Tetamje, Negada Tatukundu, Pendel Joan Devi, Saba Samu Shuan. Shenzi in the Pusun Soba, Tamji Nila, Jigden the Dunga, the Neve, Joncoin, Shinji was that good round seven zindule. But soon, Danin Bashi, two good Deve, Tapsu, Shaman, and Jugbe, Juba. Deve some bear, some Mevali showing be, no? Rangeva Zabani, Gubakunji God, Gorsheva Sheni, Shinji, Samba Jajin, Pewada, Ranji, Samba Mijoada, Gabitala, Chinaya, and Beva Shows. What I did that. Samba Chava Linia Tamji, Chungju, Deb told you that on that because it was something with that. Don't Jigden, the other libers, Koja Jigden, the workers. Jigden, the Washi, but did Henda del Show, you may see you around the del Show 6 year old Dickason. Because the Chamosina, the Shin and Shungores, do get Chamos that runs in the Jewels. What Dickason? What Dickason? Don't some Chava Le Linietam Jung to the Garda. Nonsense Nangba doing the things of Takaje. Listen, you seem to in Sigara. That should Shaban the young Luzos and Ludbe New Jaganga, Jonga, the Lulungor, the young way, the Luduja, Lul social. Takanza Nangwest, listen, you some stories. Yawashinanda. The Washington Karina, Simtu show, what is your she has a Sabeka consider to Dorshek's dinner, but the water is going long silver bed. Savage could long silver Java swinging the water bed. Don't get Chamo dead, Samasuba in the Ganga. Anyway, long silver in Java, here's the Payonda. Samasua is the Ranchi in said, do not get out the Ranchi this year. The work gets out the hedge in the shower is
No. On top of page 125, we have stanza 129, which provides sort of a summary of the things that we discussed earlier. And the stanza reads, "Whatever joy there is in this world, all comes from desiring others to be happy. And whatever suffering there is in this world, all comes from desiring myself to be happy," unquote. And so that, one stanza sums up the benefits of cherishing others and the demerits of self-cherishing attitude. So as Geshe explained, that from Buddhist point of view, right, everyone has body and mind. In Buddhism, most importance is given to the mind, not so much the body, isn't it? What mindset do we have, and that's going to determine, a lot of the outcomes. And so we could have the cherishing others kind of mindset, isn't it? So this, what we call kindness mind, is the source of every goodness in the world. Every goodness, down to even the smallest, right? If, let's say, on a very hot day, you experience this fresh, cool breeze for a moment, that is also the result of cherishing others, right? On the other hand, we could have the mindset of self-centeredness, right? Self-cherishing attitude. And this is the source of every suffering there is in the universe, like down to the smallest minuscule suffering that you got pricked by the thorn and you have a pain. That moment of pain is also due to self-cherishing attitude. And so therefore, we emphasize on the mindset and correcting the mindset in Buddhism, isn't it? Yes, body is important, but what is more important is the mind. But in some other religious belief systems, sometimes much importance is given to the body. They may think that body is the source of all problems. If you don't have that body, then you have no problem. Get rid of the body, kind of thing, right? Geshe didn't say that. That's in the footnote, by the way. The body is the problem. So if you want to get rid of the problem, you need to get rid of the body, right? That's my footnote. So as we can see, that focusing on the mind and having the right kind of mind, meaning positive mind, is very important. So in a nutshell, as Geshe read from the extensive commentary, this is what it is, that everybody wished for happiness and nobody wished for suffering. We are all same in that, right? Self and others. And every happiness and the goodness comes from altruism, cherishing others. That is the source of happiness and every goodness in the universe. And every unwanted problem, suffering comes from self-cherishing attitude. That is the source of all the miseries, isn't it? So, in a sense, the choice is clear. If we wish for happiness for oneself and others, then cherishing others is the way to go. And if you don't wish for suffering for self and others, letting go, self-cherishing attitude is the way to go, because that is the source of misery, you know. No.
Oh, take us. Rongdong the Shendong should be joined due to pay them on this. Shemataba D. Using Mount Java Shiva Tashi. She Tashi good day. Shiva member Megaba Nanje, Tommy, Shen Yaw for Rang Shiva Sony. Rang Tong Kona Shiva Shunang. Rang to Jia Mandraba. Seven is doing by like Shiva. Tuba Jejo, Ninja Shimbu Shion, Churdua Namji, Rondo Yaw Porne, Shin Shiva Suni, Simji Tonkona Shiva, the Shuba, Ranshin Yiga Tonta Shimbi and the Churdi, Shivan is Sami Devata, Devata Shiva, the Ninjine, Yin, Tunji, Chebar, Tula, Dashin Payonda. 마지베 니믹라 이셰바치라 닝타반 조슈게데 다셰지와 고마라 기부지지 베버 히시스 대다야 도데 진레 주모바랑게 데돈 좀 다디 테마토바 둥인줄 템바다디 셰돈 좀 데베 니가 도시 양에 대한 줄 해다 이제 청원리 뒤에다 레제 다 처벌에 천주 돈이네 너도 배바다도 저 뒤니 껴라 배바나 해바다로 서다 디디르게 그래서 조용히리야다 빼대버 빼 조용히 뒤에 빼대버스다 빼곤 해와이나 Shematapas, you don't know the Kade, you then Kades and the country. That Mama Shego, I mean, this Karsana. And so the Jew Shivazo, Kadi and the Rondo Korans, Magisama Meza, and that Dunga Koran Dios. And the Sanchez of the about Shenos, Shenoki, and the Rajin Tompos of Washoris. Says this was that the Yimpe goes with the Chodeza. Or the John cemetery going in the easy music, changing this round in the total race, or this or that. Because the Shivara knows about the Thomas Shadosha, the Chavartus now.
No. So the next stanza, 130, reads, "But what need is there to say much more? The childish sentient beings work for their own benefit. The Buddhas work for the benefit of others. Just look at the difference between them, period." Okay? And so Geshe-la's reading of the extensive commentary is on that stanza, and his explanation pertains to that. So earlier what we said is this: cherishing others is the source of every goodness and happiness and the best of everything. Self-cherishing is the source of everything going wrong, misery and suffering, right? And so therefore, we should learn to cherish others and let go self-cherishing attitude. And then we could be thinking, give me an example. Is that really possible? Where is one example? So now the next stanza is presented from exemplary point of view. They said, yes, wait a minute, here's an example. Yeah? Childish sentient beings like us, since beginningless time until now, we have cherished ourselves the most, and we have neglected the well-being of other sentient beings, right? That's our mindset. And what have we accomplished so far? Nothing much. And we still experience all kinds of unwanted problems and sufferings, right? Whereas Shakyamuni Buddha and other Buddhas, they changed their mindset. Instead of cherishing themselves like us, they learn to cherish other sentient beings and they stayed the course, and they have become fully enlightened beings. So enlightened beings have no suffering at all. Not only that they have the ability to benefit innumerable beings, isn't it? So look at just the difference between Buddha sitting over there and ourselves, and there's not much need to say anything more. And so Buddha has learned to cherish others and neglected the self-cherishing attitude and removed that one. So where are they? They are the enlightened beings, right? And this is historical example, right? We're not talking about some imaginary beings out in the cosmos, right? That was real Buddha, right, historically. Right? So whereas ordinary sentient beings like us, we always cherish ourselves more than others, and so we haven't achieved much. We still are in samsara, and we are still running through a lot of unwanted problems. So all of those things are related to our own self-cherishing attitude. Okay? So in the extensive commentary, two sources are cited to substantiate the point. The first one is Sutra Alankara, or Ornament of Mahayana Sutras, Dorjee. And as Geshe explained there, that childish sentient beings have always cherished themselves like anything and pursued their own happiness. But what they have really found is not the happiness, but more problems and sufferings, On the other hand, bodhisattvas, they cherish others more than themselves and dedicated themselves for the well-being of other sentient beings. And because of that, bodhisattvas successfully accomplish the purpose of both self and others. So looking at these differences, we should learn to neglect the selfish interests and learn to cherish other sentient beings. In the Ratna Avali, or Precious Garland by R.A. Nagarjuna, Rinchen Tengwa also stated similar things as Geshe explained, that if you want happiness, then cherish others, because cherishing others brings happiness.
Kon da dewa rangsi dunge ta yang ta par jiwa shiba. Da chebar su na rangi zobe sanje ge nidu namdu yang minjur jing. Minjub jing te chub misi la. Ti marro ge sibe dewa la che ne se debe se shomo nyam na. Kowa na yang pusun sobe dewa yu yi me si misi be rangsi dunge le mande be so hi che go la. Yang da ge dewa gyurje jiwa mashi na sanje yi di minjub je. Xie jia shuo mo jia wang jiang, jiru jiru wu ni ngama da yin la, kong dun yang xie sin do si. Wata tanda da kaji jiao yong di rang jin di yi nimik da, ene xie jin di yi pei yong di yi sam ni si, pen ma pi na shi ma zi na, ene rang jin di jiwa si da na, ene nang ya dewa tobe kap zan yao ma zi, sang jia di pa to, dewa pusu sa wa tobe kap yao ma zi. Xie jin di xin na ene de rang yin yin ga tong zhen sang yi kong togu re si. What is it say?
Stanza 131 reads, if I do not actually exchange my happiness for the suffering of others, I shall not attain the state of Buddhahood, and even in samsara shall have no joy, unquote. And so as Kishla explained that self-cherishing can bring a lot of problems in this life and also in the future lives. Cherishing others can bring a lot of happiness here and also in the future, right? What will happen in the future is called invisible, right? That's not something visible to us right now. And so this particular stanza highlights that if we stay with self-cherishing attitude and we don't let go self-cherishing, then we will never be able to become enlightened being or Buddha, right? Remaining a selfish and self-centered, one cannot become Buddha, period, right? That's what it is. And if we want to be Buddha, enlightened being, and be of benefit to both self and others, then we should learn to cherish others like bodhisattvas, because cherishing others, it yields like eventually enlightenment, where we have fulfilled our all complete purpose, and now we have the ability to help others do the same.
Rangsi dungele mandebe so xie go la. Yang dag dewa gyurji xie la par tong xing, xie dungi gyurji rang sur lebe, su yang tak bar jiwa bashi na sang di menru jiwa yang, xie sho mu, wangje dedu jedu mu ne, ngama tar yin la kong du yang xie xin do, sta dire rang dungi jiwa. 다 상제유도 물어보세요. 다 상제대 먼저나 런지디 시네 아니 코에 대화 무슨 소와 토그로 와시나 어디 코에 대화 무슨 소와 토그 말이 있어. 코와나 대화미 상제유도 물어보지 코와나 대화미 조주 컨셉이 어디 계세요? 대화 코에 대화 무슨 소와 대화를 코 해진지 고버스인데 고그레스. 어디서 왔다? 그래서 코와나 대화미 코에나 대화 무슨 소와 자니요 말이스. 그거는 레디션이야. 라고 비가 dunge 와시 dunge 소지를 보고 나야 뭐 dunge 자면 그거는 대하여 말아. 제가 되게 거기 연도다. 이 상지로 자주 먹어 버렸는데 상지 거면서 카르토는 너 무슨 소부터 인지민지 현진이 거리스 라제디디에나 너 무슨 소바나야 타야 말이스. 어디서 왔다.
Pertaining to those two lines at the end of stanza 131, I shall not attain the state of Buddhahood, and even in samsara shall have no joy. So as Krishna explained, should one indulge in this kind of thinking? Yeah, I understand. If I remain selfish, I will not become Buddha. So what? But I can have a lot of happiness in samsara, right? So that's good enough. And so in response to that mindset, forget it. Even the goodness in samsara, in the form of good rebirth, and whatever happiness associated with good rebirth, that is also due to cherishing others. It's not due to cherishing oneself. Yeah? So as we said before, right, cherishing others, Shenchen in Tibetan, is a source of all goodness and attainments. And if you like to have a good rebirth in the future, it has to come from cherishing others. And if you want to achieve enlightenment, that definitely has to come from cherishing others, right? So all the good things that we are seeking are connected to cherishing others. So self-centeredness, forget about enlightenment, is not going to bring any real happiness while you are in samsara.
상제인도 뭐저지 당시 맞은 상제 타고 말시 라인자 송인자 근데 상제도 와도나 거에 대화 부서 당시 제가 민두성도 되게 상월레고 봐. 어디서 코아나 대화 미서 코알이야 대화 부서 와지니 당시 저지디 시에나 거에나 대화 부서 와려요 말이시 영조 도버지 있어.
Awesome. So that last line of the stanza 131, and even in cyclic existence shall have no joy. So that is really to clarify the doubt should someone have, right? If somebody says that, well, I understand that if I don't learn to actually exchange self for others, then I am not going to have Buddhahood. That's okay. I'll have all the happiness in the samsara, right? That's what I'm okay with. Well, the last line says, if you have such doubt, you should not have. It says, right, even in samsara shall have no joy, because whatever goodness and happiness in samsara, that also is associated with cherishing others,
타니 현다 유만 예수스 고티브다 성제와야 다신 마 사마마제발 탑신 탑사 현다요만 이지미야 이네 다신 제 사바제 우리 수드세야 됩니다. 또 전수 심리디 콘디 전수 심리에서 고벌도 그러와.
No.
전수 센데 마송아 상제 나야 메동신 메동스나도 마도 지와다 코와다긴 통저베 타는 현다 유만 예수세 어제다 코와 나리아 다히 마제나 애니야 상제고다 탑 현다단 요마리스보다.
So without exchanging self for others, there is no way to achieve Buddhahood or enlightenment. In the extensive commentary, the author has cited Arya Nagarjuna's commentary on Bodhicitta, Changju Semtel. And in that is stated, as Krishna explained, that without Bodhicitta, altruistic mind of enlightenment, one cannot become Buddha. There is no any other way around it. There's no other method or shortcut or option number B here. This is it, all right? So what that tells us is that we have to learn to cherish others and exchange self for others, because that's what the Bodhicitta is all about. And without that kind of a mind, we will never be, Buddha. Yes.
어디 가서 성소서 현다 현재 거니 서주스 마송나 서제뭐 저저 뭐지 계속 통화 체디 님이니스 다다다 마송 교화심에가 다다다 통화 체디 님이 거리어서는 계속 통화 체디 님이니 대단한 집을 송신여 저비 마송 지대 파르기 내가다 타두기 내제메더비 님이 파 쇼기 통에 쉬어서 집에 세디 통에 먼저데 내들 중요 님이 세워졌어. 저게 중요게 랑라 시대세대 대원이 통여 더니 레스게 쇼 신내서 미시바다 제보야 랑제바 송 중요 통여 더니 대라 le jodi segu tang langi teruba meterwa ni nige sedi tongzang jobo minjurte chiyo le maji be langi medala debo ye langi maji be le minjurbe so yang de mazowa shime de denje minjurba ta chi yobu shi den dos de da pi 당이마 되게야 세심의 님이 다다다 세들 님이 키워 તે 가르쳐서 됐어 가지 아니 요거 주지 내가지 메시지 요거 되는 요거 되게 메시지 내가 야고 마시나나 아니 티 랑이 되게 말아 다디 진다 되게 랑이 말에 넣고 내가 야고 지금 말아 세다 티 세디 동지월이야 실나 인텔이야 그게 다시 가서 현의 계속이 요아더시나 세심에 돈도 받고 세디 내돈 그런 거 말이지 진다신 내가 주고야 내가 진다고 내가 되고 그러와 다 제요 가지고 라자하고 그러와 진짜 그 내가 뭐 라자라고 말아 진다 라자 뒤뒤 야고 말이나 진다 내가 야고 지금 말아 가서 요거 야고 지금 말아 제가 그 진다 요거 저거 말이지 요거 때야 진다 배샤라고 말이지 그래서 요거다 진다 네가 세디고 돈다 땅 줘도 말이지 그다
So earlier we said that cherishing others could benefit this in future lives, and what we talked about earlier is like, say, without exchanging self for others, we cannot be Buddha. That's in the future, right? Something we can't see right now. But we also said, so there are a lot of outcomes associated with, kindness or cherishing others, and that we could see in this lifetime. And so stanza 132 reads, let alone what is beyond this world, because of my servants doing no work, and because of my masters giving me no pay, even the needs of this life will not be fulfilled, period. As Krishna read from the commentary and explained, so this is something about which we can see in this, right, life. And so the example given is this, that masters who have servants serving them, if servants have no concern, right, for the masters and they don't do their assigned jobs properly, they are not going to get paid. If they don't get paid, they are not happy either, isn't it? And if masters are somebody who exploit the servants, have no concern for the servants and exploit them and don't pay them the wages they deserve, then the servants are not going to work hard, right? So with such attitudes on both sides, they have no concern for each other, even the things that needs to be done in this life, they remain incomplete, isn't it? Servants are not going to do the jobs completed, and masters are not paying them the due wages. And even in this life, right, things remain incomplete. Nobody is becoming successful here, isn't it? So at least even in this kind of a situation, both sides have some concern, right, for the others. No.
예미 대다 중에 주때만에 런진이 양게 통화 세대도 마도 세심에 되기 자셔분 주비 주 다히 저 방배 세디지 무슨 소비에서 되기 tam지 요소 버린 런진이 torne 현도 셰지를 마셔봐 샤베게 다지바 송네 셰라 네베 동은 바시 셰베 베주 데두 게 탑지 랑더라 몽바남 셰섬 랑더라 몽비 시바나 시반 통화도 마토메 동이 메세바 랑줄 레버 랑줄 레만 조르시 러지지 제세 예미지 자와텐도세 야베소소 편지 대기 용벌네 셰여데 돈에 다시 제네 편지 제가 너와자와 시시데 대 용서 벌네 셰와 이네라 대시데 편지 능에시베 주시자 유발 뭐라 대도 편지 되바 럽데 능에시베 주시 셰와 오스 대다 다다디 카데가서 통해 세들 님이 마도 심해 님이 데데 강가 산네 데데 산네 인시체네 이 다디 세서 대화 능에 민데버디 이자 이 능에 민 대화 도에는 현진이 시거지 능에 민데 랑진이 시죠 말이죠 셰다고 드블 때네 이니 이제 미지 다시 제와 시고 제와 타와 시고레스 어디서 오세다
So as Geshe explained that we should reflect on the disadvantages or the demerits or the faults of self-cherishing attitude, related to this lifetime and also future lives. We should reflect on the benefits of cherishing others, right? The benefits that we could experience here and now, and the benefits that we will experience in the future. Then we should, learn to cherish others and ignore, so to speak, neglect the self-cherishing attitude. And why we need to do that is because we want happiness, and that comes from cherishing others. We don't want any suffering, and that comes from cherishing oneself. So if we want the fruits, right, the happiness here, the goodness, happiness in the future, that's the result we want, then we have to follow the cause, that is cherishing others. If we don't want suffering here and suffering hereafter, the kind of result we don't want, then we must not create the cause that will bring that result, which is the selfishness or self-cherishing attitude.
다 님을 주대만 님을 다 런진디게 님 해진디게 편요 레레카니시 영영 빼네 어디가 가다 건가 시에서 그 동도와 거기서 유대로 돼 런진지 제세 어게 통화 세대다 통화 세대 통화 정수스로 모두와 책임에 얘기 자세를 드베 유다힌 저 방배 세디지 부서서 소비 대기 단지 용서 버리기는 다데 세디 대기시 모두와 책임에 대기시 어디에 가라지 대기가 저가 포사리 요 매워셔리스로 디세다 로진지 토네 신도 체질 마지바 샤베앙게 다지바 소네 셰르 네베 동현 바시 셰베 주 내두게 탑게 랑도르 모바남 셰섬 랑도르 모비 셰바노 통화도 마동에 동해 메세바 랑요 렘반조로시 로진지 예미게 자와데도스 Japan so Finji Deji Yunga Porne, you had the Tone, Dakshin Jen, Finju. Finji Jigla, the Waja, he had the Yungs upon here in a. They had the Pinju Dunga, you hear your Mona, they don't Pinju Mindeva drop there, Dunga Shebe, you hear about was. Your Dakshin, that Jendi Ange, they took G. Long dollar moon, Shinji Lord, she would do Miss Abalene, she used the shade Johnny. But doing your tebala, your tembala, Jajan Shola. Naman Mumba Shiva, maybe told the Shiva or the dark in that Chini, this time the poem, then those. That heard that together, that in the daughter did the card thing, and the Dunga Minta Ganga, the ground in the song. Ya pen da so long se wa je wa xian ji ga ga ni xie jin de xiong re sin in da jin de gi zhong da xie ji de yo de de den re ga ga chi do de den re so de se ge se.
So in a nutshell, as we have talked quite a bit about how self-cherishing attitude is wrought with problems, and how cherishing others is a source of goodness, and so we really need to reflect right on these things as we discussed here. Otherwise, as childish sentient beings, we are ignorant about what really brings happiness here and hereafter, and what is real cause of suffering and hereafter, isn't it? And that's why out of attachment and self-cherishing attitude that we are pursuing, right, the real happiness, it never comes through attachment and self-cherishing attitude. And we don't want any kind of suffering, but it really comes from attachment and self-cherishing attitude. So as childish sentient beings, we are very ignorant about right, the what needs to be done, what should be gotten rid of. And now we learn about these things, so it's important for us to reflect on the benefits of cherishing others, the source of every goodness, happiness, here and hereafter, and the demerits of self-cherishing attitude, that's the source of misery here and hereafter.
You get about you miss that June, get about it. Rather young Tom said him, Mado, Shimmy, the Gigashabo, Jube, get the Hin Java, Pangbe, said this wasn't so basic. The Gitaji used portion. Rather you told the Shendo. Shejer Mashiba Chabang Dachiva Sune, Hiana Nebe Dunge, Bashi Sheve, you. They took a time, long dollar Momba Nam Shezam, long dollar Mombi Shiva Nam, Toma the Mazone, Dunge Meseva, Ranjo Lemon Jurhe, Raji the Nimi, Mimi Gizawate, Raji the Nimi Gizawate and those. Japan so Pinji Deji you for me, he yodi. Tona Dahin Jene, Pinju, Sik the Waja, he do. They use upon me, Heva Yena, they can do. Pinju Dunge, Shebe, you hear you are more like you. Tona Pinju Mindaba, Dunge Shebe. You hear was that the things because you did that was you did hear what that all changes the shit and do ya they want to me that road do ya can change the dog change the yoga could do ya the legacy some chairs of the Lalenda bed cheat all over it the door no you so that is all this is what this all Mumbai says that be today, make talk to Lia. Dedu de Ransi the Young Togo to the Demaji Ransi she did set up Mumbaris. She is the long dollar Mumbi. She was the so used to Tonga the Madonna Tonga said the Dunga Madonna Mijo Jinji Zordin or did then said that this is the said the Dunga and Madonna said she made Dunga Zawad Rajin the East. The what have you saw the huge in the East.
So Geshe-la's explanation pertains to stanza 133 that I'm not going to read. But as Geshe-la explained, that we need to reflect within ourselves to understand that what everybody, all of us want is the happiness. But that's our aspiration or the wish. But cherishing ourselves, the self-cherishing attitude, it undermines that wish, isn't it? It's like being discordant with what we aspire. Cherishing oneself does not bring happiness that we are seeking. We want happiness, but what we are doing, cherishing ourselves, that action is discordant with, right? It undermines, our aspiration. On the other hand, we want, we do not want, we do not want any suffering. If we don't want any suffering, then we should let go cherishing, but we keep it, isn't it? We want happiness, then we should learn to cherish others. We don't do that. So our aspiration and actions are, right, clashing, if you will, right? We are doing the wrong thing to fulfill our wish and aspirations, and we have to realize that. If we want happiness, self-cherishing doesn't bring happiness. Cherish others. If we don't want suffering, right, then we should not cherish cherish the self, because that, does not cease the suffering.
What is Karsa? Young dog Jinzi Angi, they do you. Long dollar moon is Chijilo the sugar, Dungi Misseva Lenshi, Jusedu Janem, Momba Dungi, Jurtemba, then Pala Jajan Chola. Nama Momba Sheba, maybe told him Sheba, the Dakini, that Jinzi, this time the Puma Tendos, that is Momba said, that Momba said. Moon Mariba on any bed doing Chungri Sachi and that Jinzi Kono Shen and doing Chungri, the Constitution Chibari, Kajibari, that Jinzi got Maru on Chungri Saji, and the that Jinzi Taji Pongri Saji, that Toda Jin do it all, but the Toda Chibari there is. The Gama Mongbasa carries the Gama, the Mayor Tony, Duksha is. Shantideva Dorjee is the Dorjee Yoga is not Mongol than Yongo is all 200 degrees. What is it?
That whole explanation is pertaining to the use of the word Mongpa, which I translate as ignorance, and in this translation is translated as confusion. Yeah. So anyway, that's the last line of the stanza 133, and so it could be understood in several ways. The one way is, as we usually say, ignorance is the source of every suffering, isn't it? That's one way. The another way in the present context is self-cherishing attitude, right, is the source of suffering, because self-cherishing attitude is connected with ignorance. So it could be taken in any of those senses, and then the way it is used in Tibetan, we call it, how communication is not only about what we say, but how we say what we say. The way we use the word Mongpa to call oneself, you're the ignorant one, stupid one, is to demean not you as a person, but your stupidity, right? So the calling even that as a stupid or ignorance is to putting down. It has that sense, in the Tibetan. So that's a, communication thing. Yeah.
어디 다 님이 되다 쉬우 주대만이 저진이 안게 통화 세디 뭐도 디스포즈 오브 디지털이 용서 버기 저진이 돌네 현도 세질시 마시바 샤베앙 다지바 소니 현네바 둥에 시베 주둥이 탐지 랑도 몽바남 셰좀 이때도 야베 소소 편지 되기 용포네 시 돈데다 얘네 다시 편지 둥에 시베 주시죠 여mon라 티 돈야 편지 문제 봐 좀데 둥에 시베 주시바 오세 다시 야 다진지 안기 데두게 이 롱돌 모네 시절로 주베 둥에 메시아 바이네 시 유대의 자는 몽바 둥에게 유대 바르시 자쇼라 나만도 몽바 시바 메베도 드다케네 다진이 게 진디기 디지털제디 풍화 된도 오세다 다 시바테는 예버 제고바데 바스티데야 다 제다 로진디 좀 되지요 예진이 연대 되지요 다 소도 돼야 돼 대화도 문제와 둥에 두고 마시다 둥에 가가 이랑진 용거 대화 가가 현진 용거에서 이네 다 거기 다 다시 제고라 맞이나 대화 용 아마 돼야 대화 두고 와 어디 때문에세 지대 타는 시도 지대 대화 신이요만 뒤런데 현대들을 정세야들이 다 로진이 더르비 규제네 세바코에 지대 타이 메다와 제비 유 메다 메메기 너바소지 너바소 신하게 느세와 녀와세 르카이바 탕스 어디다 누구에 가자 용용용다와 지대다 소 드다다 로진이 더 유르바네 세바코에 지대 테나야 이 메다와시 소도 사모 메다 제비 유 메다 메메기 너바소시 다 제가 누구에도 네 나세요 메다 메마이 베다 너바시리 용하지 kanji tinte kse made shia nuwa mongbo yora wadi si wada meda me mayi be nuwa soji angi nuwa tsema nyawa tse re kanyi wa takse o tinte chik nuwa shia yin nuwa ya saya tiya tirish ta dungi gyur chewe jikpa tang tin dribu dungi ki dungi gyur chewe jikpa si ta ta naza rabu ta soksha rabu chaani jikpa shebo shen tere dunga she, ti gyur chiba she, shenyi yuwa chiba she asam, kasi yuka dras so nuwa shinga tere dras shiwa. Jinsen so yes, ta dras ya di medang tere yu, jinsen so, jikpa da jeka naji so, jeka naji so ta nasa tere Gaden tiše, šebam, semni jikbatam, lui dunge sinji yeba kurba, tita kun, da jeba, da zembe, zenge, da jeba shuwe na, niba da mendowa tamji, Geshe Gyeltsen, sawa kurwe, da zenji ke, dreshenbo ti, chikode, ti, 다 제이샤 때 그거 중세자 디뽕아는 디뽕아라 네데시 디뽕아라세 뽕아라 네데께네 베바 지지제 로젠지 도르게 유젠된데스 디뽕아 담바오세 데데 니미 자와 무엇이네 대다 다르테네 유다히제 바 젬바옴 다 진지 용서 당신 마바나 드부랑시 동에 중세장 뽕아 미누티 유마범 베셰르 세다르 페나 시시기 메네 라드 소네 마다나 히 시게 동에 kuma minima sheno de da zeba sheva pejir dangzi niela moso ne sheva tar sheja sho mo jam mo ja kondi rang jeba songye se da ji jema nu shin ma jebe deji nieva ta yuwa somne se raje di nieve zawa tenjin wo de ma tikyo de sheva yuwa ta de nieve mu ju on she ne se da jinji niela soma shagola ju tabu on she ne gola ju tabu on she ne da jin niela sheya mingil nyamo se wote de mingil nyamo de da ge ne da ji nieve zawa be gizen tam tala darte de shinje wa soni nieva je go ba tendo sabe jeju da jen da timda ta tizo kharte ga ani nieva ta raji de shoma de yode se shinje ti shin enti gize ti san ene da ke nieva de je go ri se o ta thoda de ting ri se
No. So Geshe-la's reading of the commentary pertains to stanza 134 and 135. So the bottom line, as Geshe-la said, is this, that we have, to reflect on the faults of self-cherishing attitude, how this is the source of all unwanted misery here and hereafter, and the benefits of cherishing others, which is the source of goodness here and hereafter. Then we should make our mind to be able to exchange self for others, right? And we have to follow that. If we would like to have the goodness of everything, then we need to learn to cherish others. If we don't want any unwanted misery, then we have to learn to let go self-cherishing attitude. So all the things we talked about and we are still talking are related to that mindset or the practice. And as Geshe explained, that self-cherishing is responsible for all kinds of harms or injury we experience in this life. Harms brought upon us by fellow human beings, harms brought upon us by non-human beings. You know how sometimes people say like, well, somebody got possessed. Somebody has a lot of negative influence of whatever these invisible beings, We have so many issues like that. So all of that harms we are talking about are, related to self-cherishing attitude. And then all kinds of fears and dangers we can talk about, the dangers to life, because enemies don't love you, they want to kill you. That's the danger. All that wild beast wants to devour us, they don't want to hug us, and the Geshe didn't say that, but devour us. And so all of those things, while the fear, the anxiety, all of those things are related to self-cherishing attitude. And moreover, a lot of suffering that we experience in life, suffering of birth, suffering of aging, suffering of sickness, suffering of death, all of these things are connected to self-cherishing attitude. So now probably we hope to be convinced that self-cherishing attitude is the source of many unwanted problems, and therefore we raise this question: what good is this ghost to me? Right? We call the self-cherishing attitude, you are just a ghost, right? What good is you staying with me? Just you are a troublemaker. So if we want to end the suffering, then we have to let go self-cherishing attitude. If we want happiness, we have to learn to cherish others. If we hold the self-cherishing attitude, still wishing to end the suffering, the example given is like we are holding a fire that's burning us and then complaining that I'm getting burned. Like, get rid of the fire in your hand, but you're still holding the fire and you're going to get burned, right? So it's like that. we want the suffering to end, but then we are holding the fire of self-cherishing attitude, and that's going to burn us. So we are going to stop there today, and we welcome your questions. Let me write this page 126, and 135. Yes. You have some? Yeah.
So first, we have a prayer request. This person died this morning.
Oh, it's a prayer request?
First a prayer request, and then some questions.
Okay. So
or would you prefer
prayer request can you give me later, right?
Yes.
When I do I have a whole list of prayer requests later. Yeah.
Okay, good. Please.
Otherwise, I will forget his name in the middle.
Sure. Okay, we have 2 questions right now then.
Sure.
The first one is, when you're sick or injured and you're experiencing pain, is wanting to be free from that suffering or pain considered self-cherishing?
Sure. Condition the dirish again, target on the Rawagain. That's also near Nazaki, not the Yorwagain. That Dungen in the Taro China something Rawagain. In that Taro China some there, the end ranching reverse again. Dungen in the Dajik Tunga Nazatang Chigorwagain. That Naza didn't like Taro China, some Chogorwagain. In there some at the end ranching reverse again. No, sir. That is not self-cherishing attitude. Wanting to be free from whatever pain, right? That's going on, right?
Thank you. The next question. When you're sick and therefore unable to provide care for others who rely on you for their well-being, what can you do or what can you focus on to decrease the anxiety that arises because you can't care for them?
Sure. Thank you for reading the question slowly and clearly. Makes my life easy. So I appreciate that. Tiwanyeva the dirish again. That's also ne nazaga not the Yorwage. In that's also the tending me Manguship Yorwa, so not the Ducal Pazon or Rocheske Yomarwage. The medical in the same day league the wagon, Angda the same day. Me Manguship so tender, so the Chetu camera, so not the Yorwage. Says a Angda did that Yomarwe, Dima, Nurta, some Locata or Resake. Oh, that was a Pazon, which is so tender Yorwage. So not the Roche Yomar in a dark same day or Angda Yorwage. But in Angda the Chungruta, last some Locata or Resa.
I did it there. Carson did it so you were not ever Joe, the human made to the current that doing not the most usual.
This again. So not the Yorwage. Miss Shamba, that's also tending me Mango Yorwage, Nangmi was Rawage. There's a Nangmi is a sort of robot chet Yomarwa. In the same Nanga or console of Robert Chende, you would say, same Nangas Leo Rawage, same day. What did you look at them? What is a social again? Not the Sigomada. Pazon, that Robert Chemado, the same day or Wangadi.
And so that so big.
Robert Chekos or Robert Chemado, the same day.
Not so she was that. Like some of the Remota there. Chidani could Namjashia, Koyan and guess how she will. Could Mindo thought about the back Mindo thought about because that Mindo thought about the back sending me said the user. Koyan guess how she would be Taman River that Dogo Yuan, the decimal, give us Java, you are Marissa. Chidan Koyan needs some of Tana in a court soon.
No, sir.
So you are big ganga in
break and so another chung try that something down the Pazon or the Tondal, the Ganga, the same day or Wagi, or didn't you kind of thing also?
You know, share was called just the Carsa. Diva Tam and Jeva, the Jeva say Jora. Said that the Koran Jeda knew some of the in Koso Dunation Rora.
No,
so that because the Dunation board then the Gajo Michel didn't have the color negative. Kangachi simply Hirashiyamara.
No. Okay, let me see if I can make this any more sense as I was trying hard for Geshe and somehow Geshe is changing my question all the time there. So First, let me translate what Geshe said, despite my attempt to tell him. So he said, because the Geshe advice seems to focus more on when you have whatever suffering, right? If you think about how you are not the only person suffering here, there are many others, right, who are suffering in the world, something. This will help you to deal with your suffering, okay? That's good advice we need. But that's not the question, I said, Geshe. The question is, you are sick, but you have anxiety and you worry about others who are dependent on you. So how can you reduce that anxiety, right? Not your suffering, but still, I'm not really getting through. But something Geshe said that might be of help is that, this kind of anxiety and that we have is part of being in samsara, right? So as long as we're in samsara, this is in some sense kind of a normal thing, right? It is there. So if you think about that, that might be able to, right, deal with it, right? As long as we're in a samsara, all these are part of being in samsara. You can have anxiety about, right, you are not able to do anything at this time, right? So hopefully that answers the question. Yes.
Is that anxiety related to attachment?
Okay, sure. That again, so kaso ne nasa che shen ma rang le ten ni ta pike semde yo rang da yo de ke ro che to yo ma ro wa tin de semde da ngang da le di de cha ge kwang ge we sa pha jong wa so nian je le cha be cha gwe bang ngam da de li ge we sa
그때 되자 제가 이제 되자 많이 봐 sem야가 이제 이제 되자 되봐서야지 잡아요세요.
No, so Geshe thinks that not necessarily, but it's possible that sometimes that kind of anxiety is due to attachment, but other times not necessarily out of attachment. Right, you could still have that. Yeah.
What could it also be from, apart from attachment?
Say it again.
What could it also be related to, apart from attachment?
Deja membe dinde ngangda de kande choresa chakbe wong mai be ngangda pe chakbe yen chen ngangda membe ge pe jun chi ge
chakbe ngangda sia
chakba mai be ge de ngangda
이게 다 chakba mai be ngangda sia ya da na 시부용에서 저기 다 희한진 chakba 용거라 돼 영어야
mar ke shen la samlu ta ngangda so de so she ge samlu de mar de shen li pe nge nang mi zo ngal ten de re da wa ge di ngangda de ge
ale nga chisono 다 나오면 되게
디
용차를 되게 알아 그래 저기 내가 라이브 해서 뒤에 타면 대화해서 그 지금 뒤에서 그 소리 개하고 내가 가서 냠도 거기 차 들어와서 그 시작 쓰고 말아 제가 지던 코라 나를 그 제주한테 뭐 이제 때문에 대화 그 냠도 해 요 말아 그때 무슨 통화인데 다그 코가 가가 거야는 이제 심리 강가 찍버리면 소지원까지 말이야. 지금 심지어서 지하요 말아.
So it could also be out of genuine concern for the other person, not out of attachment. And related to what the earlier question, I think Geshe says, and sometimes we have to think that yes, there are so many people dependent upon you, right? And you really feel the anxiety, whatever. But you also need to realize that they have to also, they can do things for themselves, isn't it? Their well-being is not necessarily contingent upon you being able to do something for them, right? So maybe that's helpful. Yeah.
So we heard at length that self-cherishing is a troublemaker, but I'm not sure we know exactly what self-cherishing is. What is the definition of self-cherishing? Because obviously it's not the same as wanting oneself to be happy. Because it says that if you want to be happy, then you should cherish others. So obviously it's not the same. We are constantly motivated by desire for happiness. That's clear. But it seems that self-cherishing is not constantly with us.
Sure. Quran condition that ran changing in nimi some quite the shen changing pay some quite mongson sarwage. That dinner to us 랑진지 세디 문진 간데 차고래서 이렇게 나 기부 중나 상바디 랑진지 인사 말아서 나 기부 용로 전에 신지에 붙인 거를 라바 이렇게 제자디 나 기부 용로 제 삼거나 랑진지 인사 말아서 이렇게 그래서 랑진지 세디 마다 친이를 샤파샤나 가르래서 거
러진도 세디스거다 소소 지고 뭐도 저기 상호 현다 뭐 상염도 뭐도 어 디레지 러진도스거다
노서
강갑에 직관 대와 문대와 동현 문대와 대와 직관서 찬양 상호를 땅어이나 러진이 쇼쇼로 봐
노서
대마저서 소지고 직 대와다 동현 직 문대와 대와 용학에서 저와도 신 그게 마지우사죠 러진도스거다
알아서 So Geshe defined this self-cherishing is like you only kind of think about yourself, right? You are not capable of thinking about other people. They are just like you, want happiness, don't have, right? Suffering. You only just like, it's like egocentric, right? Not capable of thinking about other people, right? Just only concerned about everything to do with you, right? That's more like that, self-cherishing, yeah. Solely.
당일직 시에 뭐 그래서 돼. 근데 지금 저도 자가를 삼놓고 하나. 근데 자가한테 시행을 째나 수 필요도 삼놓지고는. 근데 시행을 째는데 나 가를 넘죠 그래 상하서로 들려서 지어로. 들려서 너무 재밌었다.
And then that one example we saw earlier, right, in terms of generosity, isn't it? You have things you could share, right? You say like, well, if I give, then what can I have, right? So that is a self-cherishing, isn't it? Yeah.
So being concerned intensely concerned about one's own happiness is not necessarily self-cherishing, right? So it seems that self-cherishing arises only in the context of relationship with others, comparing, putting yourself as more, not just valuing the importance of one's happiness, but also valuing it in a way that's actually it gives precedence to one's own happiness as opposed to the happiness of others. Is that
right? Kurang this is the in rangi tewa dundu ke samrodi ko kasjinji ranjinji marwas ke roage ram dene chet ranjinji se di ta shenji roage samrota ne shen de da ran da shenyi yorwa and kanga social khoe samrota roage o di jinji in sarwas age ta shenji le tena ma da ranjinji se di lab khabur roage so chugo nga tewa den lamna ko ranjinji marwa ke ro ta dewa ji yobe indi ngal chungna khola ro 면서 어디 진지 차고를 봤어요.
그래서 답에 가래 대화도 야 가서는 걸 배실 봐 삼월 단 무슨 그 계속 시어서 저 뒤에서다. 이미 계속랑 쉬고 뭐로 쇼저지 들리고 다니다로 대신这样呢 내가 가르 사고 답시에 대신 내가 가르 공부해서 지금 근데서 무슨 더 보통 하죠.
신의 랑케 시제로지.
어디 어디서 나가 되는 데서 그러다. 이제 영 소소 지도시 사고도 더 그것도 해야 돼. 랑진이 말아.
So Geshe says, yes, that's right. I mean, the wishing for your own happiness is not self-cherishing attitude, right? If you are hungry, like I need to eat food, right? I need to take care of myself. That's not self-cherishing attitude. But that self-cherishing attitude has the sense of as we say, putting the self before others, right? That every happiness, that right, you don't think about others, wish for the same happiness. You just only think for yourself. Okay. So, Geshe says, just like that. Again, Geshe used the same example of earlier that you still have things you can share with others, but think that you only think about yourself, right? If I give, then I have nothing, so to speak. That mine is going to be less now. That's the kind of thing.
Okay, there are student want me to translate his question, so I will translate his question. The question is like this: in a scenario, we try to help the other, always have a sincere help, but on the other side, the people who get help were very selfish and negative. So if we try to continue to help that person, that doesn't bring the good result. So he asked for the advice from Geshe in such a scenario. What should he does?
Okay, can you repeat one more time? Like, so in the situation, you're trying to help others, but the other person is so selfish.
Yeah, so
So trying to
selfish,
help
have
them is not a
very
good thing.
negative, have do all the wrong thing and don't care anything.
Okay,
But he still have the heart want to help.
right.
So in that situation, what should he do? What
Okay,
is the advice Geshe advise
Sure.
him to do?
Thank you.
Okay, that's the his
Yes.
question.
Pine tanda chajet mar kon chiwas the wagen chiwadi jurde ga desegudo kesi nganzu shen le ya roga chigo rogen ene roga chesa kansa de ko ngama shisamgi me de mi shi rogen chede kan ya ane di roga chebe ine pen le da 가서 로게 네야 망가로 로게 다 니네 내다 아주 가르쳐 오래서 파종과 미디를 로가 잡에네 미디 코랑 아마시 선비 미딩 로게 란친징 공부를 슬랍샤나로 말하게 제가 니네 내다 아주 로가 채고래 못네 로가 지주요 말에 제베네 고 팬의 게임을고 미코랑 디로하고 란친징 리디 차도요 로게 가르쳐 올 수 있어요
텔레페도 다 제로 코라 내다 가리네면 소소시야 가라 되데 코라 두자이나 양코 다 두자래 해서 코로 뭐 디자시야 돼요 말아
랑 로봇 제베 되게 누구에는 책임이 로게
라다코 누구에는 디자시야 말아
so this is what Geshe said, right? In terms of helping others, right, we only think about what can we do and what we are willing to do, regardless of what the other person is. The other person could be very, egomaniac or self-centered person, as you said. We should not think, oh, that's a very selfish person, so I shouldn't help that person, right? What we can say is by doing our help, instead of helping the person, making it worse, then we should not, right? Otherwise, we only think about what we can help and do others. What other person, he or she is doing or not, this is like, we don't think about that much. Yeah.
Going back to the same line of questions, if we let's say intensely want to be happy ourselves at this particular moment, we are only concerned about our own happiness. Does that mean, and we're not thinking about the happiness of others, does that mean that there is self-cherishing in us?
Okay.
It seems to me that that's not the case. So in that sense, the definition maybe, I'm not sure if fulfills the definition. Okay.
Oh, so you mean like we only think about our
Only about ourselves, yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Koran tanda dire again, that ranching ko several chagus marwage. Ranching said the social tewa debani ranching limit is rawine. That social chigoji tewa social summerdan rawa chudo yamar shing tewa ranchigu tewa summerdan sena did and ranching each other vesa shing seems the summermada did near chudo marwage. Koran chigu in the remedy shah rawa kada magakeja yamarwage. In Ngares, tewa the Ngare chudo roda. Ngare summerdan shady ranching each other vesa. 소수 찍고 대화 삼는 당저와 신기 대화 주도 맞아야 돼.
런진이 이미 차이게다. 런진도 해야지. 해야 돼. 계속서 배데 통중소세. 소수 찍고 맞아 상하면 먼저 밑에 런예서 휴도 해야죠. 어떻게 되고 있어요?
아, 신의 지금 이제 계속을 이제 내고거로 하게.
라.
소수 찍고 이제 배는 알아보지로 하게. 안가라 안에 가서 그래 코로나에 탈고 대화 고고도 삼로 당다나 기들 안제지 책임 말하게 미샤바 코로나 전에 재미 코로나 주도라면 게 주도야 말하게 안가란다 코로나 타고도 삼 대화도 그러면 안제지 책임 말하
비지 책임이다 코코를 안가를 사야로시는 비지 런진이 책임이다 그 매일 통중소
아 매일 게 신 삼로 거라 마다저와 나텐지 도저라게 탈베 대화도 타고도 나래 주도도 나래 셰로와 또 스테던디 안제지를 하게
제리에서 오지
아니 어디 란지 책임 말하게
책임 말이
인지 이제 신지 간데 삼로 내고 그다음 신 주도 맞아야다 신 낭주나 이렇지
그래서
아
신쯤에 저기 거네
라운드 자체적으로
그래서
So we're trying to get a more clarified version of right because Geshe is pretty much saying the same thing and it's a little bit helpful. So I was giving a case to the Geshe to see if this works. I say I want to seek the happiness of nirvana for myself, right? I think that's just my business, right? I'm nobody's business. Is that self-cherishing? He said, that's not necessarily, you know. So I said, then what is self-cherishing, right? I'm just thinking. Geshe was saying, like, well, self-cherishing has a sense of, like, kind of a not concerned with others or belittling others, right? Others are not that important kind of thing, you know. So as Geshe was helping here, that's, I think self-cherishing has more of putting self above others. That's self-cherishing attitude.
So considering oneself more precious, more valuable,
Right,
more
valuable.
important, but it's always
In relation to others.
in a relation to
Yes,
others.
right,
So just wanting happiness again
Right.
is not.
저는 뒤로 와서 소소 치고지기 소소 대화되어봐다 탈배되어봐다 랑진 책부터 미 시험발에 소소 개체지네로 하게 지 현실 때문에 랑 개체지에 어디 랑진지 책을 살아서
네. 다 스티르피 랑레 셰레 랑지 개체와시는 다 랑지 레고.
That's right. In relation to others, if we put self before others, then it is self-cherishing attitude.
자기 조주 거는 동서 거는 니래 좋아. 니 짜다지 내 신을 제거 그래서 내 신을 제는 나 가를 농적으로 세 사무소 레기도 어디래 지거라.
So Geshe again reminds us back to that one example, right, of generosity, right? We have something to share, but then our mindset is, if I give this to him, then what do I have, right? So that means I is more important to this one, right? So that's self-cherishing, you know. But if you think like, you know, if I use it myself, then what have I got to give him? Then that's a cherishing others, right? Yeah.
So
Any
this
Sure.
quick. So this is actually the beginning of the section where he begins to present the benefits of exchanging of self and others. These verses, with the last one being the example of what should I, if I have something,
Right.
if I give to somebody,
Right.
what can I enjoy and so on.
Right.
So this is how you identify. These are the verses that identify self. They describe self-cherishing. This how, if we're wondering what it is, this is what it is. Is that
Sure. Yeah.
is that the case?
that again, that the best one 들어가게. Geshe rangi pheje tangba ne shen 가르 때 우레 들어가게. 아니 geshe 퀄 때에는 가르 가르 pheje la 그 측지 쇼로가게. 어디게 pheje 랑진지 다 같은 데 그서 왜 사게.
네, 자기 제대는 게 가르사 그러세요.
랑진지 다 약간 신 진지 개발된 거로.
어디 랑 개샤 뜨거라.
네.
이거 되는 거 거기 소도 개샤 뜨서나.
No.
Yeah,
those lines looks like you're right, because the first one is like, you know, if I give this to him, then what do I have? That's like self-cherishing, you know. I is more important than other. The second one is, if I have it, then what have I got to give that other person? That's like cherishing others. Yeah, the distinction. Yeah. Anybody else has a question? Maybe he has a question there. You have, yeah.
And something that kind of goes with like what's been being discussed in chapter 3, adopting the spirit of awakening.
Chapter which?
Chapter 3.
Chapter 3, okay.
I found this verse that I feel like would kind of like address what he was asking to.
Which stanza is that?
Number 10.
Oh, chapter 3, okay, give me a second. Chapter 3, 22. Oh, you mean I rejoice in the awakening of the Buddhas? Is that one? Oh, you have a different one.
I guess it's like a little bit different, but it's like roughly the same. But it's chapter 3. It's called Adopting the Spirit of Awakening.
Yes.
Yeah. So in 10 it says, "For the sake of accomplishing the welfare of all sentient beings, I freely give up my body, enjoyments, and all my virtues of the 3 times." And then the next one it says, "Surrendering everything is nirvana, and my mind seeks nirvana. If I must surrender everything, it is better that I give it to sentient beings."
You said stanza 10?
Yeah. That was 10 and 11.
Okay, so can you read it really slowly? I think I have a different one here.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe it's worded a little bit different, I think, in yours.
My 10 it says, "May I become an inexhaustible treasure for those who are poor." And that's, you're not saying that, right? Huh? Oh, that's yours 9, I see. Mine is 10.
Yeah.
So next one, without sense of loss, is that one? I shall give up my body and enjoyments as well as all the virtues of the three
Yeah.
times for the sake of benefiting all, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So kind of like that, and then in 12 it stood out for me too because it says, "For the sake of all beings, I have made this body pleasureless. Let them continually beat it, revile it, and cover it with filth." So I think that's kind of like saying that like it's like a big focus on, being selfless to others and like choosing to serve others even in like the most extreme circumstances. So I think that's kind of like trying to embody that selflessness of like seeing like that's the true happiness of like giving yourself for others, because your body's temporary. So why would you like seek so much pleasure within the physical or like the temporary existence that exists, right? So I guess my question was like, is that something that would like would answer that, what he was kind of like asking about?
Sorry, I think somehow I'm not hearing everything clearly. So your question is what? Now I got your stanzas number 11, 12, somewhere there, right? So your question is?
So I guess just to go with that, I mean, I had another question too, but just to kind of go with what was being discussed, is like, would that kind of address what they were asking about, like being like self-serving versus being not self-serving? Like, yeah, like what would those like stanzas address that?
Oh, the selfish and I see, yeah, yes. Sure.
And like happiness too, because
Sure. Okay.
like
Thank
seeking nirvana for others instead
Right.
of yourself.
Okay, all right. Let me find the Tibetan verse. Liu Sumba. Liu Thangbo, Liu Sumba. Liu Sumba 73. Any sense of words? Okay, I found it here. Quran can't show the again. The can't show this, and the Quran to what answer or again. Ranching the Shenji Che, the rock, what did the Dawa or Vesa, Liusumben and Growagan. Liusumben and there was 6J. Lu the teaching long tans, to some Kawat Hamje Yang, Shimjan Quinty turn Dubchil, Pomba Meba Tangwachas, Rowagan. Tamje Tambe Yang and Talon Yang and Debadu, Tamje Tong or Chapjil, Simjan. What did Rowagan? Tandang as a Takshin Yam Shady Rowagan. What did the Dawcha the Goresa, social Samamadan, Besamadan?
Oh, the English draw show.
No.
Yeah. So that you might touch it out. But sometimes it did a pen, she pen to Marisi. Jimatanguris. Jimatas, they was in any Sanji going to read it, but not too much to Yeah, so those stanzas, right? I think it's related to the theme that we are exploring today, where we talk about cherishing others is the source of goodness, everything, right? Without cherishing others, we cannot find enlightenment, anything. And so part of our mind training or practice is this is also focused on generosity. So basically, this stanza talks about how we are giving up everything, right, for the benefit of others, not only our resources, if possible, our body. Right, that's something very close to us, and not only that, whatever merits we accumulated in 3 times, right, past, present, future, so everything is dedicated for the benefit of others. But to be able to do that, we need to learn to cherish others, right? Yeah. Without that concern or cherishing, this is not easy to do at all, right? Yeah.
And I had another question, just because there was an earlier question that asked, like, if you're not in great physical health, like if you're still able to help people. So I guess like I thought of a question in terms of that, like if you're not like let's say someone's on that path of like realization or enlightenment, Buddhahood, right? And they end up trying to like serve others like in a way like, how to say it, like in terms of like they're in the process still, right? Like they're still kind of like not there yet, right? Like let's say for like Buddha, for example, right? It took him years to kind of like go through the process, try different practices and stuff. Like if he would have like tried to like teach before he had gotten there, like would that be kind of like premature, or like I don't know how to phrase it, but like I don't know if you get what I'm kind of asking.
Like before you have realization, if you try to teach you, that be premature thing or something like that?
Yeah, like something like that, or like you need to stay on the course till you're there.
Okay.
Or like, or would it be okay like to still try and teach on the way? If that makes sense.
I think I understood you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Quran Tiwa Shueji Dirisha Quran Samradin Sarwagan da Jikam Da Shian Penta Chair of Mendogan Roa, Penanga the Church Share Penta Chair in the Roagan. Just so just talk about money and a church and then not how down junior vessel again. But the church share of Jim and Roagan. That's Sanjay Lam, so to Jude Yorwa, so than the Jude called Jig, talk when Yamlake, Lim Ever again. So to talk about merit can a church of the share with a military share and then the Diggy Madiva vessel again, not ours again. The one I did some goes talk about the San Jesona and church and digging at us again. Ding in a coach also talk about that in them sons of mother when the chick chena not our vest or send robot head.
Pendo somewhere. Because you saw the over you were here, the over my Kashi share in the Kashi share to go Pendo here.
What Geshe wants to say is that, of course, as you're on the path, and if you have certain amount of experience, deep and realizations, and then if you help others with your thing, is definitely going to have them more impact. But before we have that, but if our understanding is correct, we share it, it has certain benefit, maybe not the same. So having a realizations, right, would make big difference in terms of being able to impact. But even before that, let's say before you become Buddha, right, you learn about those things, you can still benefit others. Yeah. You have one more?
Just the prayer request.
Oh, okay.
This a good time?
Could you, say your prayer request and then I have a turns, right?
Okay. I received 2 prayer requests for this particular person. Their name is Edward William Smethurst Jr., or he went by Will Smethurst. He died this morning.
Okay. Then I have turns here. And then I have announcements too. Geshe has given me, where is my... first I'll do the prayer request too. I'll request the Sangha and then I'll come back to English and then. There is Kiru Paul Ken Ki Sauredwa, Hedin Heli Segendi, Lebegi, Nazacheneda, Tong to Sarwa, Sume Jamjanaronasa. Then Dorin, the Mary Namilaya, Sume Jamjanaronasa. Then again, where's the other person? Then there is Karsa Kathleen Wellinsa. Morakang but Tabjan and Chabda, or the major Lamlo Yong to make Jamjan or Nasa again, Rogan. That the Lee Vethin, Koran cancer, another Sarwaga, major Chigasarwa, to make Jamjan or Nasa. So I have a prayer request for Mr. Lee Vethin. Who is in hospital and going through cancer treatment. And then I have a prayer request for a close friend of Kathleen Wellen, and she has seriously broken her left leg, so it's going through some suffering, so pray for that. And then also Paul Kane's cousin Hayden Haley is dying from a brain tumor, so prayer requests for that, and then prayer requests for Doran, Mary, and family, and then prayer requests for what you just announced, and anybody else we can think of. I have announcements to make. November 22nd, Friday, is Labab Dvijan, Buddha's descent from the Tushita, where he went to repay the kindness of his mother. So we have chalk offering as usual during the Chakarwa again. So we have chalk offering 7:30, and then December 21st and 23rd, the Saturday through Monday would be the Nyungne fasting retreat of Arya Avalokiteshvara, right? So many of you are eagerly waiting for that, and I'm a big supporter of that. So Nyungne retreat, Saturday to Monday, December 21st to 23rd, and chalk offering for special occasion of welcoming Buddha back from Tushita to this world, Friday, November 22nd. Okay. So let's do Medicine Buddha prayer for healing and Avalokiteshvara prayer for good rebirth. Toje la nyombe jomden de senzang tebe ngendren donge dozo neze sanje menje la mindur yaye chanze lo teta om bekaze ma bekaze ranza samunga de so Tenda om bekaze ma bekaze ranza samunga de so gyawa de nyoda da membe yewo lo chejam de sala gwe bara sho chadong kholu gyewe gyewo dong jendong kyewa sangbe sangje kala kangde de la de jamba chere se la chanze de omani peme hum. Omani beme hori gyawa di nyudo da chere sawa dowa jeja mal the sala gwe bara show booklet page 3 Lord Gyaltsen Vedong Bega de Kesan Pongwe Chido Member Wando Nijove Danye Jogun Chola So Wan de page 5 Mawan Dame Gunyen Dongwan de Ganrin Jongso Nid Jamgun Gyawa Nyewa Yapse Ye Dangzon Tenzin Mawe Shiba Tenzin Chebe Jingguan Zebe Je Sheje Nigun Changju Tendu Longda Damje Bebe Beyun Jen Deja Gyaltsen Gundo Sha Tesan Guanda Jeje Zombe Ze Yongzo Yure Tube Nyake Longri Tejen Nebe Bedemba Tubden Kangri Dona Gongmen Zeba Namda Gun Dendan Robe Pende Jove Lundo Jumi Chebe Tinle Je Gesa Je Do Shabden Chije Lame Tuje Melanda Gesan Duje Dendan Zam Chozon Todo Chido Domba Chida Membe Dungun Lundo Show page 9 Ramjan Shinge Gombo Zawa Men Zodo Namje Kiyun Dramazo Chozo Seye Lazo Tamje Daden Mishe Choge Mudu Tuden Jedang Losan Jawa Yi Shiro Tenban Zembe Beyun Tade Dije Jungwe Yangde Jinje Ongbo Shabden Jiden Sumgun Chana Beme Tenbe Azawa, Soso Tawa, Namda, Sudin, Yangda, Lamba, Losan, Genden, Bedo, Shab, Tujon, Yajin, Nonzin, Yangbe, Samjo, Namje, Sanzin, Junbe, Gonjo, Shela, Sonjo, Debu, Tenbe, Ngada, Chenbo, Shab, Chebe, Donga, Kowa, Bojo, Zunbe, Lilan, Siyu, Zunbe, Dunden, Leshe, Kejo, Shenye, Shenbo, Shabden, Sho, Kebe, Langdo, Goshe, Zedaje, Zunbe, Chara, Niezo, Rangsa, Sangbe, Dije, Rigon, Yishe, No, Sumden, Shenye, Shenbo, Shabden, Tesan, Rola, Jabe, Dendeje, Menjo, Daje, Zangme, Sijin, Labjen, Zidin, Dendu, Beshawa, Zenden, Shenye, Shenbo, Shabden, 少中教我世界勤劳的，土地他们间送面天的，大家拉上大白天，现到门边顿滚轮着说，强着心着人不知马也帮，也我娘把没帮，国内共同陪我说，当年大我人不知马也帮了。给我娘把没把养，国内共同陪我的说，啥些北京就是没到账，为了领先人的眼巴，上街行动没得为我，如果能到行，全部说看着绕位过位新感受，平常的我马路中位，现在是往定心叫做。下边世界报道电源机一档过热，你养大呀面叫我更多养大拉满当对面去见白拉龙姐姐，啥大浪姐原来让导致长给过把牛多说。